Good evening, everybody. Apologize for getting a little bit of a late start tonight. As all of you are familiar with at some time in your life, sometimes traffic gets in the way, and we just encountered some pretty killer traffic in Austin, Texas. I'm Varun Shriram, your host tonight, joined as always by Seth Bronheim, our registered dietitian. Happy to have all of you here in attendance. Seth, what's happening?
Doing great, Farin. Doing great. How you doing?
Doing well now that we're here and rocking. So we definitely wanted to have tonight's session be very much about helping all of you understand how exactly to make UCAN work for you. As many of you may know, we've had our big Cyber Week sale this week, and a lot of people have taken the chance to really stock up on UCAN. So no better time than now to talk about the multitude of ways that people are using UCAN. We also, for those of you who've been following us on Facebook, we've just had a big recipe contest, and I'll tell you, it's been amazing at the creativity of the UCAN community. Gotten some terrific recipes, so we will talk a little bit about different times of the day, even outside the workout, to use UCAN and different things that you can mix it with. So in getting started, Seth, as a dietitian, one of the big concepts behind UCAN is the fact that it keeps blood sugar steady, and there's a whole variety of importances to stabilizing your blood sugar. So, from a dietitian's perspective, why do folks want to stabilize their blood sugar? What is the health benefit of keeping blood sugar stable, and really, what does steady blood sugar even mean?
Right. So, at rest, people have a certain amount of sugar floating through their bloodstream, and the one thing you want to do is you want to keep it even, because what happens to most folks is that when they're fueling with a banana or half a bagel or a slice of bread before they exercise, or even at mid morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if the calories are digested too quickly, you cause a rise in blood sugar, and what goes up must come down. The brain grabs what it needs, some of the organs grab what it needs, but you store the rest away. And it's just your brain is the thermostat for your blood sugar. And so if your blood sugar starts to drop or you have little highs and lows, your brain feels that stress. So the beauty of UCAN is that it stabilizes this blood sugar, and it allows the body to stay even and stable. UCAN enters the body at the rate your brain and muscles want to receive calories. If you look at this graph on your screen, we compare ourselves to maltodextrin because at the time when UCAN came out, maltodextrin was the most popular carbohydrate on the market. It's in all hammer gels and a lot of different types of carbohydrate protein powders. It's even in a lot of energy bars. So if you see here, we're that red line steadily releasing into your body. So before you go out for an hour exercise, it's so powerful, an hour into your exercise, for your blood sugar and your energy to not let down. We're so, if there are any runners out there, we're just talking to a ton of runners today. And when you're an hour into that run, most of the time, that's when you need that gel or you need something to pick you up. But that causes, again, a spike in blood sugar, and then you start coming down. So, again, the key thing is we're just keeping you nice and steady. And there's so many applications or ways to think about using UCAN because this is the way you'd want a carbohydrate to act. A way you want a carbohydrate to act for your exercise, but also at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, instead of reaching for a third cup of coffee or an energy bar, or when you're simply bored at work and, start looking for things to snack on. So it's been pretty amazing.
What's really been interesting, if you look at a lot of the chatter that's going around in the nutrition world these days, is how really prevalent this idea, and I wouldn't say it's mainstream yet, because you still have, especially in the endurance world, a lot of folks still relying on a lot of sugars and carb loading and all of these sort of methods of the past to fueling. But a lot of the newer nutrition concepts and things that people are talking about is this whole idea of keeping blood sugar stable and the immense health benefits, the immense energy benefits that it has. So, really the thing that UCAN is doing is allowing you to keep blood sugar stable on its own without having to add a bunch of calories on board. And for anybody trying to manage their weight, anybody looking for the most efficient way to keep their energy levels stable, doing it without having to consume, say, for example, a gel every 20 or 30 minutes for those of you that are runners, the power of doing it on its own is really big.
Yeah, Speaking of runners, I just spoke to someone who owns a bunch of running stores, and he used to have a banana before he started running, and then rely on gels, but he could never break that 3 hour marathon number. And he just ran his last marathon and did it in 2:56. And he had a packet of UCAN before, a packet at mile 5, packet at 12, and a packet at 17. I mean, a packet at 20. So he was really able to kind of go longer periods of time and not really worry about how am I going to feel here or how am I going to feel there. And that's the feedback we get from a lot of athletes too, is that, you know, during the, some of our NFL athletes, during the fourth quarter, you don't want to be guessing about your energy. So in terms of the science behind UCAN, we're going to talk about that for a few minutes, and then we'll definitely talk about various usage. And anybody can ask a question in the chat. If you have questions on usage for triathlon, for CrossFit, for general as a snack in between meals. But we talk about UCAN for a sec. In terms of our origins, for everybody, just a quick review. It was meant for medical purposes originally. Our founder's son had a very rare blood sugar disease where these kids would suffer from life-threatening low blood sugar. They were fed plain Argo cornstarch, the yellow box cornstarch you find in the cupboard in the supermarkets, every 2 hours to keep them alive. What happened was that for 8 years, the top carbohydrate researchers in the world were looking for the best carbohydrate to stabilize blood sugar longest in those young kids. So all carbs were evaluated. They tried barleys, tapiocas, rices, wheats, all different types of conventional carbohydrates. And all told, what was came out after these 8 years was that our starting ingredient that is non-GMO corn. There's a natural 40-hour cooking process where you heat it and let it dry over the course of 40 hours. That causes the carbohydrate to become a much larger, more complex carbohydrate. So it breaks down nice and slowly in your intestines. And going back to ninth grade, physiology, after the intestines, the next stop is the bloodstream. So we enter the bloodstream very steadily, and that's what gives you the steady energy. There's no enzymes or chemicals used because our first customers were these 2-year-old babies. And we did a trial at the University of Oklahoma, published in a nutrition journal on elite level athletes. And what you see here is that the first thing is we keep blood sugar steady. We don't have the highs and lows from maltodextrin. The next thing is that we keep a hormone insulin low. And this is huge because when you have that spike in blood sugar because the calories are digested so rapidly when you have a half a bagel or a banana, that the sugars enter the bloodstream so quickly. The body says, I have all this sugar in my blood. Stop burning fat right now, burn the sugar first. And insulin is that hormone that tells the body to stop burning fat. We keep insulin low, so there's no spike in insulin to tell the body to stop burning fat, so we can keep the body in a fat burning mode and maximize fat burn during exercise.
I would say, 90, or I mean, I'm not going to put a number on it, but the majority of people who are exercising have some sort of body composition goal, some sort of fat loss goal, whether it's for health reasons, for aesthetic reasons, whatever it may be. What's so unique about UCAN, which can't be overstated, and Seth, again, I want you to weigh in on this from a dietitian's perspective, is that UCAN is a carbohydrate that freely allows the body to burn fat because it keeps insulin low, which is really one of the big keys to fat burning. And how unique is that? How unique a quality is that from a carbohydrate?
Well, there's no other carbohydrates that do it, but most of the time when you're looking for energy, because if without an incoming source of calories, you can't keep your blood sugar steady, right? I mean, anybody who's done a fasted workout or it's been a couple, or when you go 6 hours without eating, that's what low blood sugar feels like. So you need to keep your blood sugar steady to maintain your energy levels. That's the big thing. Steady blood sugar equals steady energy. But we always think about calories, especially in exercise. We always think about calories as what we consume. Having 200 calories per hour if you're a triathlete, or having 100 calories before you work out to give you some energy. But we never really think about our internal calories, the calories stored in our bodies, and how those give us energy. So UCAN gives you energy coming into the body at a steady rate, but also allows the body to burn energy at a faster rate. So that's why you don't have to rely on so many calories when you do a marathon. People do marathon on 300 calories, 100 calories spaced out throughout, but they're burning a lot more calories because the burning fat aspect of UCAN gives you that energy.
So Seth, what are we looking at over here? Just to quickly to finish up with the science, what are we looking at on this graph?
We're looking at the level of fat burning and fat breakdown in the body. So this is showing, the amount of fatty acids that are flowing through the bloodstream that are going to be burned by the muscle. So the fat burning aspect of UCAN.
So again, the red line being the superstarch carbohydrate, which is ours, the blue line being maltodextrin, which will be found in the majority of your newer sports nutrition products. And as you can see, UCAN both during exercise and if you look at that second green arrow, post exercise as well. When you ingest UCAN, if you pair it with some protein and use it for recovery, it's going to allow you to continue burning fat in that post workout period, commonly known as the afterburn effect. And this is significantly different from if you were to drink, say, chocolate milk, for example, something that people have commonly been taught to have for recovery. Well, when you're drinking chocolate milk for recovery, you're spiking your blood sugar, with 20 grams of sugar often, your insulin goes high, and you're losing that opportunity to burn fat in that post-workout period. With the superstarch, again, you're keeping your blood sugar very stable, keeping insulin low, and allowing yourself to freely burn fat. So, we're speaking to the folks that are looking to burn fat when they exercise, which again, like we said, my guess is that's probably the majority of you that are with us today. If you're one of those lucky folks who is already very lean and you say, well, I don't really care about burning fat, I'm exercising for other reasons, there's still a huge benefit from an energy perspective to burning and utilizing fat for fuel. For those who don't know, a gram of fat gives you 9 calories of energy. A gram of carbohydrate gives you 4 calories of energy. So you're getting nearly double the energy when you're burning a combination of fat and carbohydrates for fuel. So from a performance standpoint, really the top endurance athletes, any of the top athletes are folks who are able to freely burn fat during exercise, which is what UCAN promotes. So we've got a bunch of questions in here. You're looking at the two versions of UCAN, and we'll talk about the difference between the two, but we want to first answer the questions that you have. So Gary wants to know, Gary's an endurance athlete. Gary asks us what the best kind of supplement fuel to take during a 10 plus hour event is to satisfy hunger. So there's a couple ways to approach this. Seth, what do you think?
So when you're doing ultra events, that are 10 plus hours, I assume these are endurance events. One of the things that you're looking to do is obviously have energy, but you also, you don't want to get hungry. So the one thing you don't want to do with UCAN is mix it with things that are going to spike your blood sugar, and those are things that are sugars. So, you want to try to the whole point is that sugars aren't your main source of fuel anymore. You might have a gel here and there because you're going out for 10 hours, but you want to minimize that as much as possible. So for supplemental fuel, during a 10 plus hour event, UCAN is your energy source. It's your carb source. So people usually have a packet or a scoop to 2 scoops if you're using our tubs. There's different versions. Every 60 to every hour to 2 hours, depending on, how it's helped you in shorter workouts. And during that time period, after a couple hours, if you do start to get hungry, there's a few options. Some folks are looking for things just to curb hunger in the stomach, and those are things like protein and fat. So a low sugar protein bar. Some people really like those Quest bars. Or you might have just some almond butter packets. Or people mix a little bit of fruit if they can tolerate fruit because it's got some fiber in it. It's a little low in sugar. Choose lower sugar fruits, things like that.
Some nuts, almonds.
Some
right?
people mix almonds, things like that. And it's really what you can tolerate. You just want to choose foods that aren't sugar based, and that usually works well for a bunch of folks. And you can every hour to 2 hours, and really using UCAN in your daily training. If you're going to go out for an hour to 2 hour run, having a scoop is good for an hour, 2 scoops is good for an hour, and a packet really works well for shorter workouts, but also longer workouts. And when you use UCAN during your training, you can figure out how it's going to help you during your longer exercise too.
And this is something that for some may seem very obvious, but it's sometimes it surprises us that people won't train with UCAN and then they'll go out and try to use it for a 10-hour event. Like anything, you really want to train with UCAN, like Seth was saying, and what you'll find is over time, if you train with UCAN, a lot of people are finding that their body becomes more efficient. You become more used to not relying on carbs and sugars in frequent doses, and the UCAN actually starts to last longer for you. So, Gary, to just a little bit to speak a little bit more to your question, from an energy perspective, UCAN alone it will be perfect for a 10-hour event in terms of pure energy. Now, Seth gave some suggestions for hunger. In terms of things to combine with UCAN, the other option is if you prefer to take in your calories all in a liquid form for a very long endurance event, we have a lot of folks, as you see here on the screen, a lot of folks using our protein UCAN during the event because the protein UCAN still contains the same amount of the super starch, 30 grams per packet of the super starch, which is the carbohydrate in UCAN that gives you the energy. Just again, quickly to go back, super starch is the unique carbohydrate, really the key ingredient in UCAN. It's what sets UCAN apart from anything else. There's no other product that has super starch in it. So super starch is giving you the energy, but in our chocolate and vanilla flavors, you've got 13 grams of added protein, which is really designed either A, to help your muscles recover if you were using it post-workout, but B, it's designed to really help curb your hunger when you're doing a really long endurance event. So we have Ironman triathletes, we have ultra runners who are taking a packet of the protein UCAN every 75 to 90 minutes, during 5+ hour, 5 to 10 hour events. And that helps them both from an energy perspective and it helps them from a hunger perspective. So that's certainly an option if you're looking to get your calories in a liquid form rather than in a solid form. Seems like Mike has a somewhat similar question. Says on a 10-hour endurance mountain biking race like Leadville, is it recommended to combine real food with UCAN? Real food being sweet potatoes, Allen rice cakes, etc. So Mike, I think we addressed a lot of what you were talking about. Funny that you and Gary had a similar question, but Seth, why don't you speak specifically to the foods that Mike mentioned?
Yeah, so I mean, things like sweet potatoes and rice cakes, you would use those maybe to coat some hunger in the stomach, but you'd want to have small portions of it because a lot of people do find that sweet potatoes, do upset the stomach depending on the person because they do sit in the stomach for a while. Other people have really gotten onto this whole thing about the almond butter packets and a little bit of healthy fats like that. So the best thing for you to do, because it's 10 hours, so you're obviously going to get going to need just something to coat the stomach because UCAN is very easy on your stomach. It rapidly moves through your stomach, and so I just recommend you try that out. That's an okay thing to do, and that's really a personal preference, an individual basis. Using a little bit of sweet potato and rice cake, it's not a problem. You just gotta be careful, see how it settles in the stomach. But I will tell you, people have liked combining, some almond butter packets as something to coat the stomach too, because it's got that protein and fat that help curb hunger too. So those are great things to try, and good luck to you guys.
Ingrid wants to know how do blood sugar levels, I'm guessing how do blood sugar levels in UCAN compare to something like Cytomax sports performance drink. So for those that don't know, the Cytomax is a lot of the muscle milk products, and they have some other products. And Ingrid, virtually every of the newer sports nutrition products, your Cytomaxes, your Hammers, your Accelerates, the carbohydrate source in all of them is maltodextrin. So again, if you're looking at this graph that we looked at in the beginning, this is really what's going on with Cytomax. You're getting and let's take a step back for a minute. So your first generation of sports nutrition products, your Gatorades, your Powerades, they contained simple sugars. So if you look again at this graph, or this graphic, excuse me, those were the first generation of sports drinks. Your second generation, your Cytomaxes, your Accelerates, your Hammers, they contain maltodextrin as their carb source. So maltodextrin was certainly an improvement over simple sugars from two senses. It broke down slower, so it would last longer, keep your energy level stable for a longer period of time, and it would go through the stomach quicker.
So the main thing about those things was that a lot of people got upset stomachs from Gatorades and Powerades. Maltodextrin is basically enzymatically sliced starches, so it has a little bit of a larger chain, so it moves through the stomach a little quicker. But if you look at this graph here, which we compared ourselves in our research to at University of Oklahoma, maltodextrin still raises blood sugar pretty rapidly. And so, so the problem with a lot of these carbohydrates is that when you raise your blood sugar, that's when the body doesn't burn fat. And so if you have a body composition goal or you want to keep your energy steady, you're going to have to refuel with a lot more carbohydrate when you have Cytomax or carbohydrates similar to it. And that's the main thing about UCAN is that it keeps you steady. You don't have to sip on it or worry about your nutrition. So that's a big thing. And so this is the main difference. We keep glucose levels steady. and there's no spike and crash like the other carbs. Bob Siebehar, who was designing the diets for the 2008 Beijing triathlon team, looked at this blood sugar curve and he said that spike and crash over the course of an hour is unnecessary for an athlete. As long as an athlete can maintain their fasting blood sugar levels, which UCAN does, they can maintain peak performance. This carbohydrate is going to change my profession, change the way athletes view nutrition, and those words really were what launched us. And at the same time, it's really so powerful for an athlete to be able to tap into their fuel source, because the
Tap into
adaptation
their fat stores, right?
to their fat stores, because the adaptation to exercise is that you become a better fat burner. That's why, you ever wondered how you improve your endurance? It's that your body becomes better at burning fat. If you go back to ninth grade biology, your mitochondria, the powerhouse of the muscle cell, it grows larger. There's more enzymes surrounding it to be able to, and these are adaptations metabolically and physiologically to help you burn more fat and not burn as many sugars. But if you spike your blood sugar, you don't get that adaptation. And so that's why it's so important to keep your blood sugar steady. And that's what I love so much about UCAN.
And what's interesting, speaking of Bob, Seth, is Bob, as we were talking about, maltodextrin, and really, if you walk into a running store, a triathlon store, a bike store, and you, whatever the product is, you flip around the nutrition facts label and take a look at it. That first ingredient on most of those products, or that second ingredient, is going to be maltodextrin. So a lot of the products, from an energy perspective, they're really working in the same way. So the key difference may be format. Some companies have a gel, some companies have a chew, some have a drink, and it's flavor. That those are really the differences. So what Bob said is, in the past, before UCAN, an athlete walks into a running store and they're basically determining what they want based on flavor. That's what they're doing. Everything is going to work the same pretty much relatively from an energy perspective. So they're deciding what flavor can I stomach, what format can I stomach. So what's funny is Bob says, you almost don't even, UCAN doesn't belong on the shelf with those other products because it's a totally different product. It's a completely different carb source. It affects your blood sugar completely differently because it keeps it stable. So it's a very, very different concept, and the way it affects blood sugar is completely different. Let's see. We've got a question from Jacqueline. Jacqueline says, how are the 300 calories ingested during the marathon primarily utilized? So Jacqueline, we'll try to answer that question, and we'll see. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're asking, but if you're asking just in terms of logistically how you would consume 300 calories of UCAN for a marathon, we have folks doing it one of two ways. That they're either consuming a packet of UCAN 30 minutes before the start of the race, then they'll have another anywhere between a half to a whole packet or at mile 10. They'll have that same serving at mile 17 and call it a day. So when you're having it at mile 10, what a lot of folks do is they'll concentrate it in a small gel flask so it's easier to carry, and they'll just slug it down that way in a concentrated form, maybe with about 4 to 6 ounces of water, and they'll do the same thing at mile 17. The other strategy is if you want to fuel less frequently than 2 times during the marathon, you could have 2 packets of UCAN prior to the race. And then a lot of folks are telling us that having 2 packets of UCAN before allows them to go 15 to 18 miles without needing anything else. So you may have 2 packets before, you may have 1 packet, or 2/3 of a packet, whatever that serving is, around mile 17. And that's really all you'll need. So this is something that you certainly want to, again, play around with in your training. Try having 1 packet of UCAN before a long run, then try having 2 packets of UCAN before a long run, and see what that difference actually is. See if having the 2 packets before will make enough of a difference where it's worthwhile for you to consume the 2 packets prior instead of the 1 packet prior. And then, really what a lot of people love about 2 packets of UCAN before is they really don't have to worry about fueling at all until 2/3 of the way through the race.
The other thing that people do is they take a 10-ounce fuel belt bottle and they put I always talk about it in scoops and packets just because people buy our tubs, they also buy our packets. But in general, a serving that I'm talking about is equal roughly a scoop and a half. And most of our packets equal a scoop and a half. So, they have, 2 scoops before, a scoop to 2 scoops at mile 10 and a scoop to 2 scoops at mile 17. Take that on the road when they're having it. They have, in that 10-ounce fuel belt bottle, they divide it in half, have 5 ounces of it at mile 10 and 5 at 17. In terms of the 300 calories, in terms of more physiologically, so I'm not sure if you're asking that. Um, what UCAN's doing is those carbohydrates are coming into the body slowly, keeping you steady, and giving the brain some energy, giving the muscle cells some energy, and then you're tapping into some of your glycogen stores, but you're also burning a lot more fat, so you're not burning as many sugars, and so that's really how UCAN's being used. And there's a couple of questions here, but UCAN's allowing your body to burn both carbohydrates and fats, and that's the beauty because your brain needs energy to make it through the marathon, and that's what the carbs do. The carbs also help get distributed toward your muscle cell a little bit, but because going back to what we do beforehand, when I was talking about keeping insulin low, it allows the body to maximize and burn fat during the exercise instead of just spiking blood sugar and the body turning to sugars so quickly.
So Ingrid wants to know if it's more difficult for the body to burn fat than carbs.
So, what we were talking about before, what's great about endurance activity is that the adaptation, again, to endurance exercise is one of the training effects is that your muscle cells want to mobilize and burn more fat because those mitochondria get larger. There's more enzymes available. And so the beauty of UCAN is that you start as soon as you start exercising, the body starts, breaking down fat and sending it to the bloodstream to start getting burned. Now, that's the thing about UCAN is that it's keeping you steady while you burn that fat. Now, most of the time, the problem is that it's difficult for the body to burn fat. It just takes a little bit longer to break down. But remember, when a training effect is you get better at this over time, and that's why runners respond so well to our carbohydrate and to UCAN is because they get these great training adaptations, and then when they go to race or go on a long run, they use gels and they can't tap into that amazing fat burning benefit. So hopefully that answers that question.
Clark wants to know when is a good time to drink UCAN before a heavy lifting workout. Seth, I can already see the smile on your face. Seth loves the strength training questions.
So you want to have it around. In general, you want to have UCAN at least 20 to 30 minutes before you exercise. But if you're going to foam roll or warm up or do a dynamic warm up before you're exercising, you can have UCAN while you're warming up. I mean, sometimes I'll have UCAN right as I start stretching and foam rolling, and by the time I'm done with that, which might be around 10 minutes or so, I have UCAN. We have a lot of 5 a.m. runners, 6 a.m. runners, people who do 6 a.m. CrossFit workouts, and they have UCAN as they're waking up, and as they're driving to the gym, it's starting to kick in. So, but in general, it's around 20 to 30 minutes before is the optimal time to drink it, and you only need around 8 to 12 ounces of cold water with it.
And I think the beauty, Clark, to speak to a little more to your question is, I think the beauty really of UCAN is that it doesn't matter what type of workout you're doing. It's really keeping blood sugar stable applies regardless of the workout. So, whether people are going out for a 20-mile run, whether they're doing a heavy squat workout, whether it's a basketball player, whether it's a football player, people have UCAN 20 to 30 minutes before they exercise, and it keeps them steady throughout. And Seth, from a strength training standpoint, I mean, you've talked to a lot of folks who've used UCAN for heavy lifting, for Olympic style lifting. I mean, what is the effect that they're feeling, on the back end of their workout?
It's just they feel like they can do set after set, and it's because it's so powerful, again, for their energy not to let down. And that's really what's so amazing, because as you get deeper into your workout, you're burning more fat, you're sparing your glycogen, your muscle cells are staying full because they're not getting depleted, and that's really what's been great. And I'm a huge fan of squatting and deadlifting and military press, and I can't tell you, it's just great to not let your blood sugar drop during those workouts.
And then final point on that, Clark, is when you're doing the heavy lifting, and obviously a big part of it is to improve your body composition, and strength training is such an effective way to do that. Using UCAN as your carb source and your fuel source is just going to enhance the body composition changes you see. I mean, we have people telling us that they're getting those body composition results faster when they're consistently strength training and consistently using UCAN, because it's really promoting that fat burning throughout the workout, which is something that strength training already does promote. Mike wants to know, so are we relying on fat for fuel? UCAN's carbs for fuel are a combination of both. Can we get high performance using UCAN carbs even if fat is being utilized more?
Yeah, so that's the main thing is we are carbohydrate. We're giving you steady energy while you are able to burn fat and maximize fat burning as well. So yes, we have so many athletes who, at LA Clippers, people on the other NBA teams too, and NFL athletes, and they're doing high intensity intermittent workouts, sprinting down the court, then a little rest, sprinting again. We have track and field athletes. So we had one guy. What was Gary's workout today? He was telling us it was 8 1,000 meter sprints was this morning, and he had a scoop of the chocolate protein enhanced UCAN right beforehand, and he did 8 1,000 meter sprints. So so it's definitely used for high performance, and what's great is that it's able to maintain your energy while you're having high performance too.
And I think I'm not sure if when he says high performance, if he's referring to higher intensity. But what's been interesting, Seth, and you can speak to this example, is just share that anecdote about the treadmill test that Lance showed us the results of.
There was an Ironman athlete who got himself on the treadmill and ramped himself up to high intensities to test to see how much fat he was burning at high intensities with UCAN. And he was an Ironman athlete, and he got himself up to 10.9 miles per hour on the treadmill, and he's still burning 53% fat using UCAN. And he compared himself to Hammer Heat, again, like a Cytomax typical carbohydrate using maltodextrin. And at that same intensity at 10.9 miles per hour, he was only burning 12.7% fat. So huge differences. And anybody can check that out at Lance Leo's blog. And I think that was actually last January he talked about that. And we've had other reports too, but that was a pretty cool report.
And I think the big key is, a lot of the traditional exercise science, the exercise physiology says that carbs shut down fat burning at high intensities. And the big thing is that a lot of that research was done with traditional carbohydrates. So UCAN is challenging that notion because we are a carb that keeps blood sugar stable and insulin low, and those are really the two key components that allow you to burn fat for fuel. So Leo wants to know, does UCAN address replacement of electrolytes lost through sweating? So David, that's a great question. So all of our products, so in terms of our flavored versions, both our sports drink mix and our protein enhanced mix contain a good amount of sodium and potassium, more sodium and potassium than a bottle of Gatorade. So the electrolytes are taken care of for a lot of people just by UCAN. Now, if you're a very heavy sweater, or if it's really hot, some folks do find the need to supplement with additional electrolytes. I mean, that's really unique to the individual. So something you'll want to play around with in your training. So I guess the answer to that is, if you are somebody that needs to supplement with extra electrolytes in addition to the electrolytes in UCAN, make sure you're using some form of sugar-free electrolytes. So I wouldn't suggest getting your electrolytes from a bottle of Gatorade, because again, that has the sugars. That's going to give you that spike. There's a variety of products out there, the Noon tablets, the Right Stuff, just a whole variety of electrolyte products, or even some folks may do like significantly diluted Gatorade. So you could certainly supplement electrolytes. UCAN is your fuel source, not your hydration. So we certainly recommend still hydrating with water in between your doses of UCAN. You could certainly supplement with additional electrolytes based on what you need. It's just important to make sure that whatever electrolytes you're having are low in sugar. So David wants to know how he'd fuel for a full Ironman. How often do you take the UCAN packets? How many packets, and any difference on the run?
Yeah, so for a full Ironman, what we basically recommend is people start out with 1 or 2 packets before the swim, and they're basically having a packet every 60 to 90 minutes during the Ironman. And what changes your need of UCAN is really the intensity of your session and of the Ironman. Some people who are going really hard on the bike notice they need more during the bike, but if they're a little lower intensity on the bike, they need less. And so people will take the 1 to 2 packets before they start, and they might take a 20-ounce bottle, throw 3 packets in a 20-ounce bottle, and have a third of it every 60 to 90 minutes. And then, as Varn was talking about, for a marathon portion, they'll use a fuel belt bottle or small little 5-ounce flasks, and again they will again have it at roughly every hour or so. And really, so as you use it during your training, you figure out what works best for you, and and also when you train with it, you obviously get the training adaptations, which are huge.
So David, just a little more to speak to that. So if we're talking about in terms of packets, say so let's just look at maybe a 12-hour Ironman. You might take roughly 8 to 10 packets over the course of the 12 hours, depending on how frequently you're dosing. An important thing though is when you are taking UCAN, it is something that you don't want to be sipping on it slowly throughout the bike. We really do recommend dosing with UCAN. So if you're taking a packet every 75 to 90 minutes, like Seth mentioned, you may have 5 packets mixed up, concentrated in your bike bottle. So say you have or say you have 2 bottles with 3 packets each in them, and you're dosing every 75 minutes. Every 75 minutes, you want to drink a third of that bottle or the equivalent to 1 packet, over a relatively short period of time, over a 5 to 10 minute period of time. Then you can have your water and your electrolytes in a separate bottle, and you can be sipping on that for hydration. But UCAN is best used for a longer effort, for an Ironman type effort, for an ultra marathon, by dosing with it every 75 to 90 minutes. So by getting that scoop or getting that packet in you over a relatively short period of time, that's the most effective way to make it work. And then on the run, what a lot of folks will do is they'll space it out over the bike so that their last dose of UCAN on the bike is as close to the start of the run as possible. So again, if you're doing a full Ironman, if you're having that last dose of UCAN right as you're getting off the bike, that's really going to carry you through the first half of the run. Then halfway through the marathon, you could have another serving of UCAN. And again, like we mentioned, people like to carry it in a small gel flask. Sometimes makes it easier and just take it down as a paste. And for a lot of people, that'll carry them through the end. Obviously, an Ironman is extremely grueling. So as you approach the very end, if you need one gel to help kick you through the end, or people like to have the variety of things, flat Coke or whatever it may be, I mean, that's totally fine. We recommend not mixing a whole bunch of sugar during the middle of the race because that's going to negate some of the effect of UCAN and have your blood sugar going all haywire. But towards the end, if you need that little kick to help get you through or just need some variety, no problem at all. Jacqueline says, I'm curious on how the body is treating it on a cellular level. If I'm burning 3,000 calories in a race based on a power meter, 300 calories is a fairly nominal amount of calories. I would imagine that my blood sugar is mostly being maintained by my hepatic glucose output. Are these 300 calories promoting that?
So the main thing, hepatic meaning what's coming out of your liver, I think, just in layman's terms, UCAN's coming out of your intestine into your bloodstream at a steady rate. And what it's doing is it's forcing your body to burn more fatty acids. And that's giving you, as Varun mentioned, 9 calories per gram over 4 calories per gram. Now, it's also allowing you, obviously, if you're doing a race and they're at high intensities, your body's burning a mix of fuels. You're burning some of your muscle glycogen too. But the main thing is that the amount of UCAN is there to keep your blood sugar level steady. And you'll always burn a little bit of liver glycogen, but UCAN is maintaining your blood sugar steadies by steadily releasing into your body. And the body can burn anywhere between, obviously most people burn sometimes between a half a gram and a full gram of carb per minute. And that's why in the classic recommendations, people are recommending 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate every hour. Now, with UCAN, you can get away with less because you might get away with 30 grams of superstarch per hour at these high intensities, if that's what we're talking about, because the body's burning so much more of your own fat calories and being more efficient with the use, and that it's so steadily releasing. So it's basically you're really able to keep your blood sugar steady because it's more efficient in how it releases, and because your fatty acids are getting shuttled toward your muscle cell, so you're not relying on the total amount of sugars as much.
And,
hopefully that answers it.
And Seth, and I don't know if this is part of Jacqueline's question, but might be beneficial for people to hear. Especially endurance athletes, a lot of times they ask us, I'm burning X amount of calories. How come I don't need to replace all that I'm burning? With the UCAN? Why am I not taking so much of UCAN to replace the calories that I'm burning? What's your answer to that?
Because you're burning more of your own fat calories, and someone who wants to maintain their weight can get their calories outside, of the window, or they can always add extra protein and fat to it. But we're all about stabilizing blood sugar because we don't want to cause those spikes and crashes using sugars. and so we're more efficient carb in that way.
And so I think that's a big thing. When you're talking about if you don't want to lose too much weight and you want to maintain it, I think most people would rather replenish those calories from real food after the training session rather than replace those calories in the form of sports nutrition. So because you're burning fat, UCAN is going to help you maintain your performance because you're still getting that energy. Um, Ingrid wants to know what kind of sugars does she said super max, but I believe, well, I don't know if she means, super starch. She does mean super starch. What kind of sugars does super starch break down into?
Oh, so it's big. It breaks down into glucose. There's no fructose in our product at all. It's only breaks down into glucose.
So Ingrid, hopefully that answered that. David says, I've heard of people using UCAN for weight loss. How do I do this? This is a fantastic question, David. And this is actually somebody else that emailed us wanting us to address this question as well. So Seth, I know you've had a lot of experience with this as you've worked with a lot of the personal trainers at the Lifetime Fitness gyms. You're a dietitian as well. And, so the UCAN is available nationally at all the Lifetime Fitness gyms, all their 105 locations. And really, folks have been getting great weight loss results using it. So what have you heard?
So in terms of using UCAN, it's a tool in your nutrition program. I think that's the main thing because, I like to tell people you can't have UCAN but then have a bag of chips right after and expect to start losing weight. So the main way, what it's doing really is it's keeping your blood sugar steady. So when you go into your meals, anybody who's you're not as ravenous, you're not feeling low, like especially maybe that 11 a.m. feeling you have after breakfast, but you haven't eaten lunch yet, and then you might overeat at lunch. The other thing is that it's being used as a way to obviously surround your workouts with better fat burning, and if you can burn more fat during your workouts over time, you can also lean down. People have used our protein enhanced versions, as part of a breakfast shake, again to keep their blood sugar steady and help curb those cravings in the morning. And also, if you can, because it slowly releases into the body, it allows the body to stay in that freely burning fat mode because insulin's low. And so a lot of people have, various blood sugar issues. It really helps them curb those cravings. And a lot of folks who are overweight, they do have, cravings. People use sometimes the fruit flavored version simply in between meals. I got feedback from, actually a doctor who was using UCAN with some patients, and we don't make any medical claims, but he was tracking calories, and he had shown that people when they had a lemonade or pomegranate blueberry packet in between their meals, it helped keep them steady. And when they went into those next meals, they weren't as ravenous, and they ate less calories. When they didn't have UCAN during the days, they ate a lot more calories. So it's used in between meals as a healthy snack, like we have over here. It's also added to a breakfast. People might have breakfast, but have a UCAN shake on the side to just again help curb that hunger in the brain that might occur. After meals, people even take our chocolate protein enhanced shake with a tablespoon of peanut butter, add some ice and make it into a shake to have after dinner to avoid overeating ice cream or things in front of the TV at night.
One of the most common, as we were talking about recipes, one of the most common breakfast shakes that'll really help carry you through the morning without snacking and will actually help control your hunger levels going into lunch is one of our packets of protein UCAN, either the chocolate or the vanilla, 8 to 10 ounces of almond milk, a tablespoon or two of peanut butter, and a small portion of a banana just to keep the sugar low. You don't want to use a full banana because a full banana has 20 to 25 grams of sugar, but if you're using about a quarter of a banana, and toss that in a blender with ice. I routinely have that shake at 8:30 in the morning, and don't even think about lunch until 12:30 or 1.
Yeah, I think the biggest some application outside of exercise with UCAN is if you're a teacher, a doctor, a nurse. We had a radiologist who has 4 to 6 hour surgeries at the same time, and he'd have a packet of UCAN or 2 scoops before at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when he'd have a surgery from 2 to 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And so instead of relying on multiple cups of coffee or kind of trying to suffer through with low mental energy, this really helps them. There's actually a few teachers and professors at major universities that are using UCAN before their 4 hour lectures because they love how at the third hour they're not fatiguing mentally. So it's been really interesting for us to see the way it's helped people just keep their blood sugar steady, because when blood sugar drops, that's when the brain says sugar's low, time to eat. But that's also when we kind of can get distracted more.
So this is a very similar, Darlene had emailed a very similar question about using UCAN for weight loss. So I think we've said most of what we have on it, but just to reemphasize one last point, UCAN certainly not magic. It's not going to make the fat melt away on its own. It's really, like Seth mentioned, it's a tool to help control cravings. So the best thing we can say is whatever time of the day you're prone to sugar cravings or carb cravings, that's a great time to strategically implement UCAN. Other than pre-workout or post-workout, outside of the workout, the best time to strategically implement UCAN for weight loss is whenever you're prone to cravings during the day. And really, we talk about breakfast in the morning because breakfast is a really easy meal to screw up, between croissants, muffins, convenient foods like that. So starting the day off with steady blood sugar from UCAN will really set you up, to make proper nutrition choices throughout your day. We had a question from Danielle via email who wants to know, how important is your daily nutrition pre and post consumption of UCAN? What foods to avoid and to focus on for long course endurance athletes?
I just think the main thing is you want to just minimize the sugar intake in your daily diet.
And I mean, that's something you would recommend whether you're an endurance athlete or not, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the main thing is, you don't want to have a soda and then 2 hours later have UCAN and go out for a run or for a ride. I mean, I think that's the main thing is that you want to combine foods together that are whole foods that are healthy. Combining a protein source and a veggie source at your meals, adding a little healthy fats like avocados or walnuts. One or two pieces of fruit per day, and you should be fine. Then use UCAN pre and post workout or just pre workout. And some folks even have it as a snack in between meals. People, I know one recipe was taking our lemonade UCAN, a cup of Greek yogurt, a few blueberries, and making that into an afternoon shake. So it's pretty versatile in that way. Steve Maxim asks, any caffeine in the product? Well, there's no caffeine, but people love creating their own mocha and iced coffee drinks with our chocolate protein enhanced UCAN. They take 8 ounces of iced coffee, chocolate protein enhanced UCAN, blend it up in the blender, and add some ice, and it's like a mocha shake, a healthier form of it, better than a frappuccino at Starbucks.
Let's see. We got another question from Ingrid. I just got UCAN in the mail today, and just a question about the consistency. In terms of mixing UCAN, it is a starch. It's not something that's going to dissolve in water. So you want to, if you have a shaker bottle with one of those wire mixing balls, like a lot of folks use for protein shakes, that'll really help it mix up well. If we always recommend using cold water, using a few ice cubes. Like any powder, it's going to taste best when it's cold. And if you want to make it with a little bit of a smoother consistency and it's convenient, you could certainly just blend it with ice and water at home. But that's an important thing to note. It is a starch. It's a little bit thicker, so you really have to shake it well. Don't spoon stir it. Don't expect it to dissolve in water. Give it a nice hard shake.
Yeah. So Jacqueline Parker asks, she had a little GI discomfort using UCAN, some bloating. Any suggestions to avoid this? And I think the main thing is that you don't want to dilute UCAN in 16 to 20 ounces of water. I know our packets say to use up to 16 ounces, but we've changed the label on our tubs to use maybe 8 to 12 ounces of cold water. There's even a plain version of our product, completely unflavored. So maybe you have a sensitivity to maybe some of the sweetener or some of the flavor, and that's also there. But I'll just try to use a lot less water, Jacqueline. So much so that some people take our plain UCAN, mix it with 4 to 6 ounces of unsweetened almond milk and some cinnamon. And a lot of our folks that are waking up and doing morning workouts love this. It's very little liquid, so it's light on the stomach. It's easy on the stomach. And then it sustains them throughout their exercise. So I would just try and use less water. And good luck to you.
So that was a great stream of questions. We really appreciate everyone's participation. Fantastic to get so many people that were interested in asking questions. So, just to really quickly review what you see on the screen, the sports drink mix, great pre-workout, great midday as a healthy snack, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're prone to an iced tea, drinking a soda. Really good times to use UCAN. Certainly, you can add it to a meal replacement shake. Think of UCAN as the carbohydrate portion of your meal replacement shake. So if you want to add a protein source, a fat source along with it, go for it. The protein enhanced UCAN can also be used pre-workout. Again, from an energy perspective, you'll probably feel the same benefit because it's the same amount of the super starch. Really think of the protein UCAN as almost like a mini meal pre-workout. If you're running or exercising at 6, you haven't eaten lunch, or you ate lunch at noon, it's been about 6 hours. That's a good time to use the protein UCAN to help curb hunger. Again, can be used as a healthy snack midday, and also can be added to a meal replacement shake. Mix UCAN with 8 to 12 ounces of cold water per packet. Nice hard shake. That's the best way to do it. And drink it 30 minutes before you exercise. You really want to get that entire serving all in your system at once. It's not something that you want to sip on slowly throughout your workout like a traditional sports drink. So even though it is a liquid, think of it again as a pre-workout snack. And finally, if you do have any questions, if you want to continue the conversation, Seth, who is our dietitian again, who's been speaking to all of you, his email is ucanrd@ucanco.com. I just put that in the chat. Feel free to email Seth. He'll be happy to answer your individual questions if you didn't get it addressed here today. We also want to let those of you who don't know yet about our Cyber Week special, let you know that it's going all week. It's going on through Sunday. Our store URL, which I'm typing right now in the chat, is generationucan.com/store. The code is just cyber. You can enter it in on the final order screen at checkout. That'll allow you to save, and I totally botched the spelling of that. Apologize. It's let me try that one more time. It's generationucan.com/store. The code is cyber. You'll enter it in on the final order screen. It's 25% off on UCAN packets, 15% off on UCAN tubs, and free shipping on every order. So, even if you already decided if you already have placed an order, but some of the things we talked about today sort of inspired you to get a little bit more and stock up a little bit more while we're having the discount, you won't lose out at all by placing 2 separate orders because everything you do order is being shipped for free. So we encourage you to take advantage about that through the end of the day on Sunday. Actually, just 2 or 3 more questions coming in. Sheila wants to know where she can find the recipes that we've been talking about. So Sheila, we're in the process of putting together a nice UCAN cookbook, which will certainly be out, here in the next few weeks. In the meantime, we just had a big recipe contest on Facebook. Our Facebook account, which I'll post in the chat right now, is facebook.com/GenUCAN. So if you go there and scroll down our timeline, I've been posting a whole bunch of recipes, over the last week. So you'll see a lot of them over there. We're going to have a big a voting contest with the top 10 recipes on our Facebook coming up next week. So you could stay tuned for that. But that'll, again, give you a lot of recipe ideas. And if you're one of those folks who isn't connected to social media, not on Facebook, you can certainly feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email address in the chat, varun.shriram@ucanco.com. You did receive the webinar invitation from me. You can just reply directly to that, and I'll be happy to share some recipes with you individually if you're unable to access them on social media. Let's see. Nadine wants to know the stuff that about the vanilla tubs, which may be out of stock. Nadine, we recently switched over to a new version of the vanilla UCAN, which is our vanilla cream. We use a natural sweetener called monk fruit extract in that instead of the Splenda, which was used in our old vanilla, which is the artificial sweetener. A lot of people have been telling us that they really love the flavor of the new vanilla better. So for the time being, we're going to be producing the new vanilla in tubs. We're sort of holding off on producing the old vanilla in tubs for the time being until we can gauge the feedback, see what people feel about our new flavor. But you could certainly still get the old vanilla in packets currently. So that's the story with that. But I think I think you'll really love our new vanilla if you're able to give that a try. That is available in tubs on our website. So we really want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And like we said, this is just the beginning. The conversation continues. So email Seth, email myself, tweet at us, Facebook us. We're here to help you figure out how to use UCAN. We're really big on education. We know this product works. We know there's so many amazing uses for it. So whether you're an endurance athlete, a marathoner, a triathlete, an ultra runner, whether you do CrossFit, whether you strength train, whether you're looking for something healthy to have in the middle of the day to help you lose some weight, UCAN is really that healthy carbohydrate that's going to help you achieve all those things when you use it strategically in the right way. So hopefully we helped you answer some of those questions. And again, really appreciate all of you joining us. Take advantage of our cyber special through the end of the day on Sunday, and have a great night, everybody. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Take care.